Kia ora, hi, I'm Nancy, and this is my first ever Flosstube. This is Natterings with Nancy from NZ. I've been encouraged from a friend to start a Flosstube, so just to challenge myself and get me outside of my comfort zone, I was like, sure, why not? Given that I'm a stitcher and have just started on my cross stitch journey, which is already blowing up, because turns out when you find Flosstube and people that have similar interests as you end up getting all of the projects. So yeah, kia ora, hi, welcome to my living room. We're just perched down on the floor because this way I can have everything spread around me. I am going to try at the end of this video to edit it and put in photos wherever I say I'm going to put in photos. However, as this is my first ever Flosstube, aroha mai and apologies if I muck it up a little bit. Mostly just want to have a chat, show you what I'm working on, talk a little bit about my goals for the near future or for the year, and we'll see where Flosstube takes me. It is very likely that my videos are going to be irregular and will just come when I get a moment in time. For context, I work full-time as an occupational therapist, so am usually quite busy when it comes to the work front. I'm also a mum and partner, so we have 3 kids, 2 school age and 1 preschooler, and so life can be quite busy with the juggle of kids. So yeah, and amongst all of that, I also like to find time to cross stitch, as do a few other of the members of my family. So it is a nice little pastime that we can sit and do together. So that's a little bit about me. Hi, welcome, and thanks for joining. Now I'll just go into some of my projects. So I just started cross stitching last year. I met my friend Judy, who is an Aussie in the Kiwi world, on Flosstube and all of the other socials, while we were at a stitching convention called Stitch Tui, put on annually, and she was just starting her saga, at that time a long dog sampler, and so she let me have a bit of a turn, and I was like, oh, this is a bit fun. So got quite easily enabled on that first encounter and have since started a lot of cross stitching projects now. So after that weekend, I remember that I had a photo or a picture that I really liked and thought, oh, this could be stitched one day. I am an embroiderer, and so my idea was maybe to do surface stitching with it and block it out and do the picture as satin stitch. I just had never got around to it. And one of my other friends who comes to our weekly stitching group, so I'm part of the Whakatane Embroiderers Guild, and we meet weekly. She has done a lot of turning pictures into patterns using pick to pat, and that way she does quite a bit of really awesome cross stitch that you don't regularly see, I guess, out there, because she's doing images that aren't traditional. So yeah, so my first one that I'm about to show you is a gorilla. It was a digital image that I've turned into pick to pat, into a pattern. I think I'm stitching this on 18 count Ada. Here is my gorilla. I've got a pillow up behind it so that hopefully you can see it quite well. So he is really starting to come through and come to life. So he is a total of 14,214 stitches. I think that was also including the white, so I haven't actually done all of these stitches on the outside that are meant to be white. So my stitching is probably slightly less than that. I am currently at 13,858 stitches, which means I have 356 stitches to go. So I could have finished this last year. However, because I had been enabled, I decided to start a whole heap of other projects, which is why he's still not finished. but my intention is to finish him off. So you can see that there's a few little patches and around his nose and on his forehead that need completing and stitching. And then what I'm hoping to do is a little bit of back stitch. So just to give him some definition before he gets fully finished, I'm going to back stitch around the edge. I'm going to back stitch around his eyes and nose, just to give that a little bit more definition. But yeah, this is my gorilla. Here's the first pattern I've ever made, ever cross-stitched, other than like little practice ones with friends, and I got all my counting wrong and then it ended up looking ridiculous and I just put cross-stitching down. So I'm quite proud of this piece. He will eventually get finished. I had a friend who I was going to be making this for when she had her baby about 5 or 6 years ago. So once it's completed, I might get it in the post off to her with an extreme apology note for how long it's taken me. The next project that I am working on is a long dog sampler, and so it is Saga, which is the first project that my friend was stitching, and then I was like, oh, I need to have that. So that is the next project. If I'm fancy, then I'll be able to put up a picture of what it's going to look like at the end. However, we'll wait and see if that actually eventuates. This is what I have got so far, so it's in my Q snap because I have been working on it. So I'm just working on this middle section at the moment. So this was my starting point. It's slightly below the center, but wanted to make sure that I had it in the right place on the fabric. So we've got a couple of drafts in there, and you can see the little hairs that are getting stitched. I really love the archways, and there's some more detailing that's going to go in there. This is a really large project, so it is a total of 104,773 stitches. I'm currently at 4,401 stitches in this little space here, so that is the equivalent of 4.2% of this project. My partner has a bet that I won't get this finished before the children leave home, is what he's decided, because my intentions with this is that it would decorate our girls' bedrooms by being framed into a really nice large frame and hanging in their room. So we'll see who's correct. I'm really motivated by the bet. I don't even know what the wager is, but just to prove him wrong, I would love to do that. So I am stitching on 18 count Ada on that one. It's like a baby blue kind of color, and I'm using Silks for You thread. It is, the code of it is PR147. So I've got some beautiful hanks of it, and it's variegated so that you can see it's really beautiful. I ordered a few different colors, but this was the one that I intended to stitch Saga. It's really nice to work with. First time I've ever worked with silk. It feels nice, it looks beautiful, so I will probably do other projects in the future with silk again because it's so nice to work with. What's next? The next project is I started just after Christmas, so it was a Christmas gift. It's called Other Worlds. Here is the pack. It came as a kit. So this is the image. It's a Riolus, I'm not sure how you say that. I believe it's Italian. And it's all kitted up. It was ordered out of the Fox collection. I had done some circling of these things would be nice if anybody wanted to get me this for Christmas. So this came from my stepson, and it is beautiful. Like, I love the colors in it. I love how detailed it is. So this is being stitched on a 14 count Ada. All of the threads have come in the pack, and the chart is a paper chart, which I am working through as we get there. So I have started that about the 29th of December, I think is when I started it. I'm currently at 2,300 stitches roughly of 48,400 stitches. This is the first time I've ever stitched, oh, I think I need a pillow behind this. This is the first time I've ever stitched, like, I guess it's kind of Royal Rose, I think that's what it's called. So doing my towers So I tried to be all nice and I guess systematic about it, but then I have learnt that to avoid page lines and that sort of thing, feathering is really important. So then I've started to branch out a little bit over on the side, and I am, turns out, quite a cross-country cross-stitcher, so it is very likely that it will end up like that. However, as I'm still working on my counting and I don't want to be frogging all that much, I'm just trying to keep it isolated to an area to still finish off before I move on to somewhere else. The other thing with this fabric, it was kitted up. There's not a lot of seam allowance, and that is, I have kind of tacked it out with a centre point somewhere down here and tacked out the two borders just to make sure that I started in the right place on this one. So yeah, I think if I were doing this again and if I were kitting it up myself, I would definitely go with a larger piece of Ada, just as I like there to be more seam allowance, just for the Q snap as well as for my peace of mind to know that it will actually fit on the fabric. But yeah, this is really nice. The thread is a wool acrylic blend, so it's 70% acrylic, 30% wool, and so as you stitch, it kind of gives it a bit of a three-dimensional look, which is quite cool. So it has a little bit more of a tapestry kind of look to it than it does just plain cross stitch. And I really like how quickly this is building, and you can really see that it is a universe style picture with the depth in there, with the different shades and combinations of threads as well. So yeah, my goal for this one is to have it finished by early 2025. So I will talk about goals in a little while. But yeah, that's my new start from just after Christmas before the new year, called Other Worlds. The next one I will show you is the Heaven and Earth Designs 2024 Stitch Along. I think I must have been watching a Flosstuber when I came across this as an option, and so jumped on board, chose one of the 10 designs to be a part of. So I think it was $10 to join. You get the pattern in installments over the course of this year, and then there's a Facebook group that we're a part of to encourage each other along in the challenge. And part of the challenge for this is to, if you stitch, I believe it's 3 or 4 full pages of the pattern, then you will get the other 9 designs from the stitch along. So if you complete the full page count that you need, then you will get the other designs that you can choose to stitch in the future. If you complete the whole project, then you also get to choose 2 charts off the Heaven and Earth Designs website. So I have spent many a moment on that website looking at the beautiful art and charts that are there, and I will quite happily choose a couple of charts off of that if I were so fortunate enough to finish it. But as you can see, I leave like the last few hundred stitches and just don't get around to finishing things. So who knows, it might be the same with this. However, having that motivating fact might really help me to get a finish. So I'll just grab that and show you. I've been stitching on it this morning. So it's in my other Q snap. Pop my pillow behind it so that you can see. So similar starting point to the Other Worlds, where I'm trying to work in the Royal Rose fashion, I guess, but as you can see, I've got some confetti in there and I'm spreading out and moving into the space. So my idea with this one is to go through the whole piece of thread that I've got attached to the needle, and then tying it off, because I don't actually like loose threads everywhere. I've got one parked down there in the grid because I was not very certain of my counting last night when I was working on this and didn't want to misplace a stitch and then have my work cut out for me today. So I will eventually pick that thread up and carry on. I just went back to another thread that was in this block to work it through. So currently we have got about a third of the pattern already. So we've had our first installment sent out to us, which is a couple of pages, maybe slightly more. It is the whole project, once it's finished, will be 60,760 stitches. So the first installment, they've given us 22,932 stitches that we can do. I'm currently at 405 stitches with my start that I made yesterday, which puts me on 1.77% of what we've got currently. I have not worked out the percentage of what that is in its entirety. But yeah, I have kind of made a plan of how many stitches I need to work on it each day if I were to get it done within the year, and then I've also worked out a number of how many stitches to get done on it each day if I am to complete the page number that I need in order to get the other patterns, if I so choose to want to just work towards that goal. So that's my Heaven and Earth designs. It's a full coverage chart, as is the other world, so I've got a couple of full coverage, and then the saga is not full coverage, but it is a mighty large project. Going back to the Heaven and Earth designs, that one is, the artwork is by Sheena Pike, and the chart design was by Michelle Sayeta, I think that's how you say her name. The kit for Heaven and Earth designs, I had kitted up for me by Country Stitch, and so this is the first time I'm using Easy Count fabric, and it's really nice to work with. I'm using 20 count, I'm doing 2/1 and DMC threads on that one. Yeah, for my gorilla, it was Stitchmakers in Tauranga who helped me kit that one up with all of the threads I needed, which has been great. It's really nice having everything in stock so that then you can just keep going without needing to like put a standstill to things. Now the final thing that I am working on that kind of falls into the cross-stitching category is my ANZ 2023 Mystery Sampler. So that's the Association of New Zealand Embroiderers Guilds. It is a fundraising project, so it was a fundraiser, I think it was $35, and the fundraiser is for the national conference which happens in New Zealand every second year. So the next one is in this year, 2024, and it will be in Ōtepoti or Dunedin. The designer wasn't known to begin with for this project, however we've since found out that the designer is Sue Lucas. What she has done with all her designs is inspired them by Dunedin's stories, history, flora and fauna, yeah, all of the things that directly relate to where the conference will be this year, which I will attend. I'm really looking forward to that, and we'll be doing a couple of classes while I'm there, more embroidery classes rather than cross stitch, but still things that I enjoy and that will help with my skills. I may end up showing some of my embroidery projects here on Flosstube too, just because that is the type of stitcher I am, and this is more for me stepping outside of my box of what I'm comfortable with, and it's hopefully going to keep me accountable to working towards my projects as well. So I'll show you the start to my sampler. Lots of people have already finished these because it was done collectively. I have not, but that is okay. So there are a total of 19 blocks on the sampler, and so you will be able to see that I have completed 2 of the 19 blocks, and I have made a start on the 3rd. So the first block we got is this one in the center, and it was a tartan pattern, and at that point we were given colors that we could choose to put in there, or we could choose our own colors. So I had originally stitched the colors that were suggested, and then I realized that as we got more of the patterns that we were going to be filling up the others, that they weren't really my color scheme. So I went and changed the color of my tartan, so I stitched that again. So that's all cross stitched. It's 2/1. I think I'm working on 28 count fabric on this one. It's quite a loose weave, but it's getting there. First time I'd ever done any counted work, so it has been interesting. Reading patterns has been a bit of a challenge for me too, and I think that's maybe just because I'm not used to counted work. I started my stitching journey with surface stitching with kits that just had a pattern drawn on it, and then you would just stitch, usually running stitch, satin stitch, French knots, those sorts of things. So yeah, it's a big learning curve, all of this. So yeah, the first one that I completed here is the tartan, and then the next one is over here and it's waves, I think is the design, in terms of the style of work, and I used a variegated thread for that one. Can't remember the brand. And now down here, this is my Wessex stitch. So I have done the first kind of 2 layers. There's probably another 3 or 4 layers to go. So I've started on my 3rd kind of layer and color that I'll be putting in there. I believe my plan is to do that on every 2nd one along, but I started this probably 3-4 months ago, and I just put it down and haven't picked it back up. So I'm not sure exactly what the roadblock is for me on that one. So I need to just pick it up and give it a go and try and get that finished. So yeah, so there's a lot more blocks to do. There's some that are looking like, because we already know the patterns now, some look stunning and some look quite confusing, but I have got a range of threads in these sorts of shades and colours, so the turquoise and the dark blue, the pale greens, the yellows, oranges, peaches sort of colours. So it's all pulling through from that tartan in the centre. So my hope is once this is finished, it will look cohesive. I'm not sure what I will do with it yet. I've seen some people have turned it into like part of a bag. Other people I know are going to turn it into a bit of a book, so they haven't actually stitched it as close to each other. They're more on like individual little pieces that they'll then bind into a book with a story about what each of them are. My thought maybe at the moment is that I'll turn it into a portion of a project bag. Since now I've got all these projects and whips, that I might just need some bags for it, so that could be a really good use of it. But yeah, not entirely sure just yet. We'll wait and see. So yeah, so those are my whips that I have currently that are related to some form of counted work, cross stitch, that sort of thing. Do have other whips on the go, but maybe I'll show them to you in the future. Now goals for them. I put down a little note of things that I want to do. These might be goals for the month, for the few weeks, for 2024, whatever it might be. So the gorilla that we started with, my goal for that one is to finish it. So I would really like to finish that, which is the, 356 stitches. In all honesty, I could probably finish that this week. And really maybe I should finish that this week, just to have one thing off the list, and then it opens up space that maybe I can bring in another new start, because I have downloaded a whole heap of patterns after watching people's whip parades and just general floss tubes, and finding floss tubers that are similar to me and what their interests are. So I should finish the gorilla. That's what I would like to do. So maybe that's a good goal to have by Feb, let's say. For Saga, my goal for Saga for the year of 2024 is to get to about 30%. 33% would be amazing. So that would be a third of the way through, because I do think it's probably a 4 or 5 year project for me, given what my time commitments are already like, and that if I really wanted to get it to that, I think I have worked out the maths the other day. One moment, caller. Yeah, so if I was to get to 35% by the end of the year, I would need to have 36,670 stitches done, which is approximately 3,060 stitches a month. So if I break that down further, that's quite a few to do a week. And so if I was working on that solely, I think I probably would. The problem is that now I've got these other whips, I really want to work on them as well. So yeah, that was as a goal of 35%, so I've kind of cut that back to about 30%, and if I could get to that percentage, I'd be pretty happy. We've talked about the gorilla and then the other worlds, so the universe style one. I really want to get that as finished as possible. I am hoping that I'll be able to have that in the next exhibition that our embroidery guild holds in 2025. And so given that that's my hope and goal for it, I will want that to be framed up early in 2025, ready to be displayed. So really my goal for that one is 90% by the end of this year. So it's a total of 48,400 stitches, so I need to get to about 43,500 stitches on that one. So again, that's just over 3,500 stitches per month to put into that. So we'll see if that's possible. That's about, what, 800 stitches a week maybe. And I probably on a good day get through, like with my work-life balance, I can probably put in about 200 stitches a day, all going well. Our youngest is not a great sleeper and wakes frequently, even after she's been put to bed in the evening. So it does mean that my stitching is often interrupted. So when I'm working on something like that, that is counted and requires concentration, like because it's a paper chart versus being in pattern keeper, I do need a little bit more attention to get that done. So probably realistically that will be a weekend and days off sort of project to work on. So yeah, we'll see how I get on with that one. I'll keep myself in check through these videos, and maybe you guys will too. For the Heaven and Earth Designs Rainbow Dragon, my goal for that one is, so to complete the full chart with a minimum completion of 4 pages, I need approximately 5,000 stitches per month. So given that I've done 400 between yesterday and today, tiny fewer, maybe 40 stitches or something this morning. So given that I have managed to do that with a day of no interruptions, that could be possible, but then the other projects are definitely going to fall by the by, aren't they? And then the final project is the mystery sampler. So I just want to set small goals on that one. So given that I've had a bit of a roadblock with the Wessex stitch, that's my current goal on that one, is to pick it back up, do the Wessex stitch block, get that one finished and all the ends tied in so that it looks nice and tidy, so that I feel happy with it. It's a new style of stitching for me, so I think that would be a really good goal just to get that achieved. So hopefully by Feb I've done that block. I will maybe pick it up today and do a little bit today just to start that motivation of working on it once again. But yeah, those are my goals for my stitching projects right now. I do have some of my patterns I have are maybe a little bit more Christmassy, and I know it's just January and we're packing up from Christmas. I'm actually using some of our Christmas lights to prop up my phone to record the video right now, and soon Christmas will be out of our mind, but I do have a few little Christmassy ones that I might want to stitch. Hopefully they're small enough that I can stitch and they can become ornaments for our tree this year. As well as I've got some workmates who are really into Christmas stuff, so it could be cool to have some stitched and ready to just display around work at the end of the year, just for a bit of fun. Yeah, I think that's all. Hopefully you have tolerated my first Flosstube and have got this far. Thanks for coming on this journey, for checking me out and what I'm stitching, and if you want to like, subscribe, comment, go for it. I will chat back where I can. If you want to know anything in particular, ask me some questions. I am new on this journey. I am surely going to learn a lot, and I'm excited to see where it takes me. Yeah, thanks for it all. Ka kite. See you next time. Bye.